Right, there we go. Right, evening, everybody. I hope everyone's doing well on this fine Wednesday. Well, say fine Wednesday. It's getting pretty cold here in the UK, but thank you all for joining us. Uh, as you can see, this is the rerun after the Gremlins that happened the first time, and we're all right. There's no
We are
stuttering,
back.
and hopefully you can all hear us. That's what I'm hoping. Uh, So hopefully my mod will just give me a big thumbs up before we go into this. Yeah, sounds good. There she is. Right, brilliant. So thank you everyone for coming along to another edition of my interview podcast. I have with me today the one and only Houndish.
Hello.
How are you doing?
How's it going? I remember the point because last time I was like looking at the other screen like, is this definitely the right way? I need to point this way
It is for
at
me.
you.
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, there
There
we
it
go.
is. Boom. We're fully practiced
Fully
at this now.
practice. We are. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Yeah, not too bad. Pretty good. Nice and busy this past couple of weeks. I'm sure you have been as well.
Yep, definitely.
But yeah, doing all right, mate.
So, for anyone who is new to the podcasts, uh, obviously I have a special guest with me who's very kindly given up some of his free time on this busy schedule to come and speak to me. We go through four categories as we're going along. There's a quick fire round in there. We hopefully, or we will, get to know Houndish a lot better. And for anyone that is drop followers, because I can see a lot now, so I'm going to get these few out of the way now. In between categories, I will do any shout outs or anything like that. So please, in chat, don't think I'm ignoring you. It's because I don't want to break up the conversation while we're going through the questions and stuff like that. So, just quickly, and I might butcher some of these names. So, Tanuk San, Raphos, Quentin Bonnet, Night Raven, Mikey, Rafi Space Ninja, Cold 401. Thank you very much for the host. And Hot Wheels, thank you very much for the follow. Very, very appreciated and thank you. So we'll start this off with category one, which is getting to know yourself a lot better. So
Oh.
for those that don't know, but they can probably guess by your accent, you're from the UK. Whereabouts in the UK are you from?
Near Birmingham. 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 I don't know how to say it. I don't have a super Brummie accent these
Yeah,
days, but I was born in Birmingham, and now I live like just outside of Birmingham in the Midlands. It's super hype around here. That's all I've got to say about it.
yeah.
And that's not true at all. It's alright, you know.
Well, there'll be plenty going on. I know when I've been down to Birmingham, it is
Hmm.
if I remember rightly, the third largest city in England. Uh,
I think so, yeah. Second or third, somewhere around there. Very
yeah,
industrial.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
I've been down
Busy.
there for plenty of nightlife. That's
Yeah.
where I've been down.
Yeah, there's a bit of fun to be had in Birmingham.
There is, yeah. So, next question. So, what was life like growing up? School, what you enjoyed doing as a kid, with friends, all that type of stuff. What was
Ooh,
it as growing up?
that was a long time ago. You make me realise how terrible my memory may be. Um, I guess it was well, it certainly wasn't like my life is like now. I was much smaller initially. But otherwise, yeah, it was it was pretty good. Yeah. I remember growing up in Erdington in Birmingham. And one of the things that stands out about my childhood really, like early on, an early interest of mine was probably music. Um,
Yeah,
that was kind of my standout thing. You know, like some kids like playing football. I wasn't the sporty guy when I was young. I wasn't one of those kids, so I was like probably the nerdy, quiet kid, really,
yeah.
kind of interested in music and things like that. Yeah, so that was me, I suppose. But it sort of coalesced into an interest in, media, editing, similar things, which kind of got me onto the YouTube side of yeah, stuff. So
Yeah,
it's kind of one big arc of me
yeah.
just messing around with something and yeah, seeing how it goes.
So tell me about your family.
Ooh, family. Um, so funnily enough, we've only just me and my girlfriend moved out into our own house this past year, a few months ago. So um, I've left home with my mum and dad, who I've lived with obviously for quite some time. So they're a pretty big part of my life still, and the kind of adjustment to living on our own and going through all this lockdown madness and everything that's been going on as well. So
Yes,
it's kind of like
yes.
double whammy, strange, secluded in the office kind of time. Um, but yeah, my sister is probably like very influential, really, in terms of music and stuff like that early on in my life. That's kind of like a big standout. I have a brother as well, though. My sister and my brother both quite a bit older than me,
Yeah,
funnily enough. So we'd never had like they had both like moved out of the house by the time I was sort of like a kid running around in our house. So I never had that experience like living with brothers and sisters and stuff. But um, yeah, I do have them. They've always been kind of
you
like
do have them.
adult, very adult figures to me. I think my brother and sister.
Are they
Yeah.
older brother and sister?
Yeah. My brother is wow. My brother's like 14 years older than me. And my sister is 18 years older than me. So it's like a big age gap
Yeah.
there. And I'm like, I'll be 30 next year. So that's like,
Ooh,
it's getting on, flying by. But
proper
yeah, man,
adult.
it's good. I know, yeah. I'm trying. Anyway, you never feel like an adult, do you? You just
No,
like either accept or don't accept adult things.
no.
And then
Well,
life happens to you kind of on that basis.
yeah,
And
I'm a
that's about
little
it.
bit past 30, but I don't feel any
Yeah,
older than I did just 22, 23.
yeah, that's it.
Young at heart, even if the well body parts are starting to hurt a little bit.
Right. That's it. With the exception of stuff like that, you're as kind of as old as you feel you are
Yeah,
otherwise,
yeah,
right?
definitely. So obviously you're a busy person always. But if you did get a night to chill out, feet up on the sofa, uh, you can put whatever film or TV show or both, whichever. What would it be? What's your favourite movie or TV show?
Favorite movie or TV show? TV show is kind of easy. I like um comedy like The Office. I find stuff like that really funny.
Yeah,
Both the British and American Office.
yeah,
I enjoy both of them. I can just binge the American Office in particular. Stuff like that that you can just sort of like leave on in the background once you've seen it a couple of times. And it just kind of like plays in this monotonous loop that's somehow really comforting.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think I'm really into stuff like that, rewatching things. Otherwise, I'm kind of into horror, kind of across the board, really. Sort of like ghosty or paranormal horror, or just any kind of horror. That's my vibe with
yeah,
movies. It's hard to say like any real favorite movies, I guess, horror wise, because I like just so much stuff.
yeah.
But that's my jam. Whenever anyone wants to watch like comedy or comedy movies, man, I don't know what it is. I can't watch comedy movies. Everyone's gonna
No,
hate me for this. I'm terrible at comedy movies. Maybe it's like an hour and 20 minutes of comedy is too much. I like 20 minutes of like stupidity at a time. That's my
yeah.
bag of tricks.
It depends what type of comedy it is.
Yeah,
It's either laugh out loud sort of comedy or it's cringe comedy, fart joke comedy. I see.
right.
I can't watch. I can watch it a bit, but then if it's like the same recurring
Mm.
fart joke all the way through, then I sort of get bored with
Yeah,
it.
you get tired of the
Because you can see what's going to happen all the way through, and then my mind's like, well, he's going to do this and say the same thing. Yeah, but yeah,
right.
I like the other type of comedies. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Maybe the sort of like darker humor and things like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Or stupidity, like when you find you really enjoy something that is kind of stupid, like in something comedic. I guess the craft is like how do you place those moments right and how you deliver them. That's where
Yeah,
that's the crafting comedy, right? Like
yeah.
you can
It's
be
like
entirely stupid as a comedian, but
yeah,
it's probably kind of hard to do it, right? It's probably one of the more difficult things to do and still be funny, right?
timing.
Yeah, that's
Timing's
it.
critical. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your other half was to walk through that door now with a silver platter and it was your all-time favorite food dish, what would be on it?
Hmm. I hmm. I want to say pizza. Pizza's right up there, right? Pizza's kind of like the easy answer.
Yeah,
I'd say most people kind of love pizza. Um, it probably would be some kind of pizza, to be honest, thinking about it.
yeah.
Just any pizza. But not with pineapple though. That's I'm not the pineapple on pizza guy.
You
In
see,
case that question was gonna happen.
you see, I feel like I'm like the 0.2% that doesn't mind a Hawaiian pizza with a pineapple on
Right?
it.
No, fair play, man. Don that pineapple.
But
That's all I can say. That's fair enough. Yeah, man.
so away from gaming, so say you do get a bit of free time, and you can go at the house or do whatever you want. What's your ideal activity away from work? Social.
Socially, or well, it's kind of a mixed bag, really. Top things I like driving.
Yeah,
Um, driving's a fun thing for me. So that's something I'll maybe do like on a Saturday or Sunday, especially in the summer. That's like I live for that in the summer. I have to
yeah,
get up at like 5, 6 in the morning, and there's just no one around, and just go and drive safely,
yes,
um, very safely around. That's a huge pleasure in life. And doing that with friends as well, just like chilling. Um, yeah, I'm pretty casual guy. I like fairly low key stuff, like non-committed kind of things, right? It's
yeah,
just like, yo, what you doing at this time on this day? Nothing. All right, let's start with nothing at that time on that day, and we'll see what happens.
yeah,
And yeah, that's kind of like that's how I deal with things. But I'm like talking about lockdown and things like that. A lot of gamers I've heard say we've been training for this for quite some time, and especially with like the content creation side of it. Um, you know, that's kind of like sums up my life, man. Like 5 or 6 days of the week, pretty locked in at home, right? And then maybe a couple of days, um, where I kind of get out and be a little bit more social. I
yeah,
like decent food as well. Curry. That's another top food, by the way. If I can
yeah,
go out and eat good curry somewhere and a couple of decent drinks on an evening, that's another top one for me.
yeah. Good
Yeah,
food,
man.
good company. That's what it's all
That's
about.
it. Yeah, man. And nothing too pressing otherwise.
Yeah,
Keep
just
it chill.
chill. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So, last question for this category. Where did the name Houndish come from?
Um, this is always really difficult to answer, to be honest. I feel just daft. Um, it was I had a gamer tag, Gimlet Green Dog. My gamer tag was many years ago. I don't know. It sounds like something Xbox would give to you automatically, right? Gimlet Green Dog 0436 or something.
Yeah,
Um, it wasn't, I don't think. I think I came up with the name for some reason. But there was this kind of like wolf theme with like the channel. I made montages and things like that. And one day I was just like, I literally just sat there and thought, hound-ish, as in like hound-like. I don't even know, man. It just looked like one word that I could just put on something.
yeah,
And so I just did it because it didn't really matter all that much at the time. You know, like when you have a gamer tag that you end up being kind of like almost ashamed of. Like the X's in Houndish, I'm almost ashamed of them. Um, but they were just there because
yeah.
it just happened, and it's just been like that ever since. That's yeah, it's weird, right? Do you feel like that about your name, or is your name much more crafted? Have you like gone through many iterations?
Right. So yeah, this is the third iteration of Gatecrasher, my gamer tag. That's because I couldn't remember the passwords to get in, so I had to
Right?
create new ones.
That's
But
a legit reason.
But the gatecrasher comes from well, from the clubbing scene that I used to do
Right,
many years ago, and the Gatecrasher
right,
Club in
sure.
Sheffield,
Okay, cool.
and the festivals and that, and it's sort of stuck with me for the last 20 years. But
Right.
the F1 bit was because I did a bit of Formula One. I do league
Right.
racing, so I
Oh,
thought,
okay.
I'll
Wow.
just create this name,
That's
and
awesome.
all the other variations are now taken. So
Right.
it stuck,
That's yeah.
but
Cool,
it's
man.
there.
That's it. It's always an intriguing conversation, isn't it? There's
Yeah.
you always expect there to almost be like an art behind it. And in a
Oh,
way there is, but at the
yeah.
same time it's always just so like yeah, it's the name. It's the thing. It's cool. I'm connected to it. Yeah, man, I dig it. I also dig the racing stuff. That's dope.
Yeah, it's very competitive. That's all I'm going to say. There's,
Yeah.
I do it for fun, and
Right.
it's not like an ordinary public lobby. This is proper.
Mm,
There's people all around the world competing this, so it's all
right.
proper racing. If anything goes wrong, that's it. In PSN chat, and it's just like wow. But it's good.
Super
I
serious.
I enjoy it. I've done that for 10 years. I enjoy it. So
Wow. That's
it's
awesome, man. Yeah.
something different from first person shooters.
Oh yeah, totally. Definitely, man. You got to keep it mixed up.
Right, so that's the end of the first category. Before we move on to the next one, uh, Mr. Grandad Gaming. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for the raid. It's very kind of you. I hope you're doing all right and you've calmed down after your fun in Crucible earlier. I was rolling around laughing watching you bloody.
Hopefully, he's had some fish pie and calmed down now.
Oh no, he was oh eating some uh, burger from McDonald's earlier.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what he was eating.
Sounds,
Uh,
sounds satisfying. Maybe that's why it was frustrating. The lack of fish pie. It's
He,
like one of those things that you need, but you don't truly know it.
he needs
And
to
even
eat.
though you think McDonald's is enough for you, it's just not true.
He needs to eat some homemade fish pie and not all these takeaways and fast foods that I keep seeing him eating. It's no good for you, mate.
It's what happens, man. Once you're locked in, you
Yeah,
got you got quests in the log, streams booted up. It's the easy option, right?
it is. But anyway, hand on heart, thank you very much for the raid, Grandad. So, the second category.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that just played through my headset really loudly then. Uh, Yam Yam Gamer, thank you very much for the follow. Before we move on to that, so thank you very much. Right, the second category, gaming. So, gaming in general. So, wow, that is loud. Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything
Oh, that's good then. It's just
unacceptable.
it's just me. Uh, what was the first game that you played?
Ooh, very first game that I played. I probably can't tell you an absolutely accurate answer to that question. But
Oh,
the first game I really remember
yeah.
playing and enjoying was Grand Theft Auto. That was like the click for me
The
with video games.
top down PS1 version or
No, it
GTA
was a bit
3?
GTA 3 it
Yeah,
was, yeah. GTA 3 and Vice City. Before that time, I didn't have I didn't have a PlayStation 2 until I saw Grand Theft Auto. Um and that was like a big moment for me. I remember like I was saying before, like music was a big interest of mine. Funnily enough, I was probably one of the kids that played games, like not that much, like relative
yeah.
to a lot of other people, like in our circles now who still play a ton of games. Probably can remember playing a lot of games when they were really young. Like really early on. I don't recall that, but either way, Grand Theft Auto, yeah, on PS2 was like the point where I was like, oh my god, I need to do this.
Well,
And so I went round my friend's house for an afternoon, and we just played GTA, putting in cheat codes and flying around and all this kind of stuff.
getting the spawner tank and spawner rocket launcher and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. And by the time I got home that evening, my parents were delighted with my new obsession about acquiring a PS2. I'm sure. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, man. And that was the big thing. And Grand Theft Auto remained kind of like outside of Destiny, definitely the most sort of like influential and played game for me as well, like historically. Um, yeah, something I sunk a lot of time into.
yeah. And I think that game, well, because it's still GTA 5 is still going strong
Mm,
years and years after release. But I think
that's it.
GTA 3 was the benchmark. It was what started it, that game,
Mm, yeah,
for years and years to come. It was a brilliant game.
that's it.
So what was your first console?
Yeah, so that would have been PS2 as the yeah, the very first console. I can't remember how old I would have been, maybe like 30, 12, 13, something like that. I'd played on other consoles like PS1, things like that before that time. But yeah, PS2 is the first one for me. And
Yeah,
I can't remember how I got it. I think I saved pocket money or something like that and bought it off of a friend of a family member or something like that to get this PS2. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm getting this thing. We're gonna play some Grand Theft Auto
yeah,
underage and
yeah.
blow up some stuff.
I'm saying nothing because, well, my teenage son's been playing Grand Theft Auto 5 for years.
Right.
Please don't dob me in, anyone in the chat.
It's a rite of passage.
It
We'll
is.
call it that.
It is. Yeah. So, just stick Destiny to one side, out of the way. Pretend it doesn't exist, just for a few minutes. What's your favourite game or game series that you've played?
Um, I'm gonna just like pivot back to Grand Theft Auto again. That would be like top game series. I really do enjoy like the stuff that Rockstar have done like in general, like Red Dead
Red
Redemption,
Dead.
Bully back in the day. If you played that,
Yeah.
Max
What?
Payne.
Oh God, what was the other one that they tried banning? Was
Um,
it Manhunt?
ooh, oh Manhunt, yeah, yeah. They
Where you could stick plastic bags over people's heads and all that sort of
Manhunt
stuff. They tried
was
banning
pretty
it.
extreme. Yeah. I think the thing that I like, it was almost like slightly cultural as well, that I would like Rockstar Games because they're kind of the FU of game developers, really, in
Yeah,
that respect. They're like the equivalent of, like metal bands in like the late 80s and 90s or hip hop artists, right? With this kind of like FU to the establishment. But
yeah,
this is a video game company that does it and memes that as well, right? So they
yeah,
don't take themselves all too seriously, but they certainly don't take anything that they're depicting seriously, right? Or the environments, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah,
Like
they're kind of
they're
taking the mick heavily
yeah. So
out of everything.
who was it? Who tried taking them to court? Was it Lindsay Lohan for
Oh
one of
yeah,
the screens for Grand Theft Auto 5?
supposedly using her
Her,
likeness,
yeah,
yeah, in as a piece of artwork.
yeah,
I don't think, yeah, I think that was I think she needed a few quid, to be
yeah,
honest. I
yeah.
think that's what that was called.
But I think it isn't just the gameplay, and it was how they think, even with the radio stations when you're in the car, and how carefully
Mm.
thought out. Even just the individual,
Oh
like there's
yeah.
20 radio stations all carefully worked out, and some of the funny stuff
Mm.
that's put into it, and then obviously songs to go with it. The
Yeah. The track choices have always been phenomenal. Like the teams they have
Vice City was
picking
the
that
best.
stuff.
Vice City was the
Yeah.
best.
I love the 80s music. The
Yeah,
crazy thing is though, like one of my favorite things, especially as a music lover, and I like music from like all kinds of music, like from any kind of period of time pretty much. But as a music lover, one of the really cool things about Grand Theft Auto is like the amount of awareness that that game has brought to like genres of music
Yeah,
or certain artists and tracks, right? There are songs that are literally famous because of Grand Theft Auto,
yeah,
right? Like you could see like certain artists, you go through their entire repertoire, and then there's one track that was in Grand Theft Auto, and it's you go on YouTube and it's got like 10 billion views or something ridiculous on it, whatever it is. It's just like
yeah.
that's crazy. Like the cultural influence that has had.
Well, it's
Um,
because
it's
I
been
was
pretty
thinking
cool.
about something similar to this the other week when Bungie dropped the Beyond Light trailer with obviously the mix of the
Right.
Rolling Stones
Oh
painted it
yeah,
black.
painted
Now
black. Yeah.
Black Ops 3 used that
Right.
as well, and
Mm.
all of a sudden there was a big spike of searches for the Rolling Stones and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So it just
that's
shows
it.
music associated with
Yeah, totally. It's quite influential, isn't it?
is yeah.
Definitely.
So obviously you play Destiny a lot, probably
Mm.
23 hours of the day. But
Not quite, but
yeah. What other games do you play currently at the moment?
um,
And what do you like about them?
it's one of those, man. Like the other big like games really that I've played over the past few years, like Battlefield, um, was quite a big game for me, multiplayer wise.
Yeah,
That was kind of something I sunk a lot of time into, especially sort of up to and including Battlefield 4. And even some of the stuff that it did after that. But like the interesting thing for me is like the more the Destiny's cranked up, right, and the content focus is for me, like my time has been spent working on Destiny stuff. Um, and yeah, like especially as I haven't had anything kind of in that first person shooter market that I'm super into, right,
yeah,
for a couple of years outside of Destiny. Because Titanfall, that was another game that I was a big fan of back in the day. Of course, we had Apex Legends, but that's kind of like a different, slightly different kettle of fish. Like I'm not a huge
yeah.
battle royale kind of guy,
Oh,
although I do think that game is a lot of fun, right?
oh, yeah.
But it's battle royale fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Apart from Destiny, I spend a lot of time on Warzone. I'll hold my hands up. I love playing
Right.
Warzone.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
I play it with my two sons. Uh,
Right.
so when I'm not streaming or playing Destiny, I'll go on with them two. Spend some time effing and blinding down headset with them two. And we've managed 3 wins in the last 7 days,
Right.
and we have a laugh. It's something different.
Yeah, that's it. There is like the pursuit, right? Like you're chasing that win.
Yeah,
It is highly addictive. Like you could see how
yeah.
people
I'm
just
trying
get
to level my
like
guns up.
gotta right.
So
Yeah.
there's that chase. Trying to level to
Right.
unlock different bits at different levels. It's a different. It, it's a grind. There's always going to be a
Yeah.
grind somewhere, but no, it's
That's
good.
it, man.
No, I really
That's
enjoy
it.
it.
That's the kind of thing that's mixed up, well, multiplayer games really, hasn't it? In terms of, the core multiplayer experience has been somewhat similar for quite a long time. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, man, I think it's cool.
Uh, just one last question for gaming. Obviously, we've got the next gen consoles are out now, the
Mm,
Xbox and the PS5, and PCs are ever forever getting upgraded. What
right.
what what would you like to see as a feature or future feature going forward with gaming? Like it could be like every game is VR. A VR headset comes with a console, or could it be I don't know, something where you actually got to run about on the spot? And what would you like to? That they're just
That would be an
examples.
interesting concept. Yeah. It's such a big question, right? Pardon me, I got a sore throat coming. But yeah, that's such a massive question, isn't it? Because like what they tried with VR, it's moving away from the space that is inherently how video games have worked for so long, right? Which
Yeah,
is probably one of the reasons that VR isn't like the main thing right now, right? Because it's either something that will take a really long time to get there, or might just never get there, right? It might never be the experience that people fundamentally kind of wanted from games, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the interesting question, I suppose. And that's where I like it's difficult in terms of something that would be um that innovative, right? To really give like a solid answer. But I think like the cool thing that's happening, if you look at I'm literally looking over to the side because there's a Series X next to me. But yeah, like the current consoles, or the consoles that are coming out, I think that's pretty exciting because kind of like what's happened with the PC market, like each of the all of the key developers have been like squeezing each other right to make more competitive hardware and then drop the price.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's happening in the PC market, I think, is like pushed the console market a bit further or pushed those developers like even harder to, everyone already wanted awesome consoles, right? Like, which they're going to deliver to some extent, but I think the fact that the PC space is getting more competitive in terms of hardware is massive
Yeah.
in terms of like that console progression as well. And it's probably part of the reason that like consoles like PS5 and Series X are going to be as good as they are, hopefully. I mean, I say that because I just don't have any hands-on experience of a game. Do you know what I mean? Like on either of those consoles, like I haven't sat down and played a game at 120 FPS on one of those consoles yet, right? So it's
No.
like, what will that experience? Destiny's okay on the Series X right now, like it's just 30 FPS, so it's basically the same. Although that is better because there's no way that Destiny was consistently running at 30 FPS on an Xbox One before. So when you play it at 30 FPS on the new console, you can tell like this is actually a smooth 30 FPS, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All the menus are really snappy. The loading times are good. And we were saying before about the upgrade for Destiny, and that's something I'm really interested to see. Like
Yeah.
120 FPS in Crucible.
In Crucible.
Is that going to be a thing on PS5 as well? Is
Yeah.
that like on all of the new
I've,
platforms? Is it, or is
from
it
from what I saw, they never said either
right?
or. They just said 120 for Crucible.
Right. Oh,
But
okay.
but then
Excellent.
but then underneath it says uh, and it'll be cross generation crossplay. Well, so
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, right, if because I'm playing against PS4 people, I'm going to have 120 frames per second, and I can change the FOV,
It,
and I go in with some in a lobby with some PS4 people. Well, I'm not going to say I'm great at Crucible, but I have a slight advantage. I would have thought than the
hmm.
others. So I don't know how it's going to work. So I'm going to be
I would
interested to
imagine
see.
so. Yeah. Without being like hyper technically proficient at understanding or explaining why. Yeah. Anyone
Yeah.
playing at 130 FPS versus someone playing at below 30 FPS. Yeah, I struggle to understand how that can represent a competitive environment in that respect, right?
Oh, I
So
know.
that's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see. But yeah, I'm also interested to see whether the game is going to keep that snappy feel. Do you know what I mean? Once they upgrade everything else, right? Because right now it feels really quick. We know it's running at
It does.
30 FPS. The load times are great. The menu times are really good. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like once you bump those frame rates up and give us all the FOV sliders and stuff, it's gonna take some of that
Yeah, of
oomph more
course
than
it is.
likely, right? So I'm kind of curious how that experience will be. Can you play on a Series X at 60 FPS, 1080p or 1440p, say, and still get like very snappy responsive feel from the hardware? If you can do that, then that's like in a game like Destiny as well, right? I think that's really
Mm,
exciting at that point. It's like, hey, it's real.
yeah,
It's a real thing. It's yeah.
fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
man. It
We've only
should
got
it should be good.
what are we now? We've got a week and a half to wait. Is it? Will it
Yeah.
be next a week?
8th of
8th of
December or
December.
something. Early
Yes.
December, for
Yeah.
sure.
So not long to wait.
It'll be
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, it will be. So moving away from gaming, and before we go on to the next topic, which is about Destiny. Just like to say, Night Raven, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. So, Grandad, Ziggs, Quibble, Cal, and Poz, welcome to Gatecrashers Club. You have an emote to use. I hope you've all said thank you for the generosity. And thank you again, Night Raven. Bongo, thank you very much for the follow. And Governor, thank you very much for the bits. Cheers, my friend. Right, so Destiny. So we're going to go into where you are mainly known for.
Cool.
So,
I will try and be interesting.
so first question is, it's an obvious one. What got you interested into Destiny?
It's one of those, man. It was well, the first thing I saw was E3 footage. I think, yeah, it must have been the year before the beta for the game came out. I think it was. But yeah, the first thing I saw was just that E3 gameplay, the Cosmodrome. And I just thought it looked trippy. I was just like, this looks cool. Like, purely in terms of landscape, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, I'd played Halo, but you know, not a ton of it. I'm not like a huge Halo fan historically. So I didn't kind of know a lot about Bungie's work, but I could see, obviously, you know, there's some similarities between the two games, like visually at face value, right? Like early on. So that was
Yeah.
kind of like interesting. It was purely like visual. It was an audio visual thing, right? It sounds like this, and the stuff I'm seeing looks cool. I guess that's always the case, right? If you're just looking at a game on the screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really responded to like the environment of it in particular. That was like a big element for me. And as well the music, man, because that early Destiny music was like from like a composition and performance perspective, right?
Yeah.
And like what you're hearing, it's like, oh, this is like really next level. Like
Yeah.
certain production values here are like really going off. So that was like a really early, like a thing that struck me kind of without even really thinking a ton about gameplay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it looked like a mysterious, interesting world.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I've said this to my guests before. The reason I got that, because I've always been PlayStation, so
right,
I never experienced Halo,
yeah,
the Bungie Halos,
right,
and
yeah,
all my friends that were on Xbox, oh Halo, Halo, Halo. So once I found out, well, there's a multi-platform Bungie shooter
mm,
coming out, I'm like, yep, all over that. And then I saw, like you said, the E3 video, and then obviously there was a massive hype machine behind it, because obviously they pumped
mm,
an absolute load of money into it, and I enjoyed it from the off.
yeah, that's it.
But we as you mentioned music, we won't mention how much they paid Mr. McCartney and for that song.
Oh God, that was the one. Yeah,
Hope
I
for the
didn't like it.
future.
I thought it was bad.
It was bad,
I'm just
but
gonna put it out there.
there's two dance remixes of it that make it sound good. That's all I'm saying.
Right,
I found it on Apple Music the other day. Oh, sorry, other music streaming sites are available. I don't want to get
right.
into trouble. But no,
Miscellaneous streaming platform of your choice.
yes, but no, there is a couple of dance versions of it. It makes it sound a lot
Right.
better. But yeah,
Yeah, man.
it was very cringy, because I really like Paul McCartney, but yeah, it was a bit
It was
cringy.
confusing. Like, it was confusing. I think there was some kind of relationship that Marty O'Donnell, the guy who he was the Halo composer as well, and then like he'd done the early D1 stuff. He's a very good composer, um, regardless of anything else. But the Paul McCartney thing, yeah, dude. Even Luke Smith said it was a bit. Yeah, Luke Smith basically said it was bad too, didn't he?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and
sometime fairly recently, it was just like, yeah, that was bad.
hence why it was playing very quietly on the very first mission of D2 when you're running through the destroyed tower.
Yeah, that's it, man. I guess it wasn't that bad. I feel kind of mean now. I'm just hearing the chorus in my head. It's sort of bad. It's kind of bad.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
we can move on if you want.
So I asked
Oh.
all my guests this. So what's the one thing that sticks in your mind as a wow moment, and not a bad wow moment like Paul McCartney's song. A wow moment is in
Lol.
for me. It was getting to the end of King's Fall, and Oryx just comes up, poof, and you're just like, holy shit!
Yeah.
That type of moment. What type of moment like that sticks out for you?
That was one of them, definitely. I also remember running around the Daughters of Oryx like at 3 or 4 in the morning on day one, doing that encounter and just hearing that like demented, tortured laugh like in the
Yeah,
background.
yeah,
And that was awesome as well. Like the production on that stuff again, like that really excites me, man. Otherwise, yeah, there are so many of those moments, really, aren't there? Like I remember being in the Vault of Glass for the first time, firing a Suros regime at endless goblins and hobgoblins
yeah,
immediately before Atheon, and no one really knowing what was going on. That's an early raid memory. Um, but yeah, like the Oryx reveal, as it were, that was super trippy. And one
yeah,
of the things I can appreciate about that, like as well, is just it was a completely like unspoiled thing for me at the time, both like on the evening running the raid because we were quite early actually to the Oryx encounter, our team at that time. So it was cool because it was just totally unexpected, right? If you hadn't seen it, and something that much more visceral and massive than anything else we'd seen in a raid.
yeah,
Um, but Wrath of the Machine as well. That was another freak out moment for me. Like seeing the dude just kind of like wedged in the wall and then he gets lowered onto these legs.
yeah,
Like I've always really enjoyed the kind of mechanical like enemies or elements in Destiny.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, that was cool as well. But yeah, man. Like raid things are really stand out. There are a lot of them really. The lighthouse in D1 as well. That was another cool moment
never
because
got there.
like right, it was a
It,
challenge.
not
It's
not for
still
the
it's
not for
still a
the lack of
challenge.
not for the lack of trying, but
Right. Yeah, man. I call it luck or whatever else. But yeah, like the first time going there was pretty cool as well. Once again, an unspoiled experience. Something that I tend to like spoil more things for myself, like
yeah,
as a content creator that I am now, like than I have previously. Um, so like yeah, because sometimes it helps to know what's up. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, those were really fun times in D1. A few in D2 as well, I think, for sure.
yeah,
Riven it was equally massive. Massive raid bosses are a big theme here.
mm,
Make something giant,
yes,
and it's quite exciting.
yeah, definitely.
Also, D2 actually. Why am I? I'm not even thinking about this. The new raid. I don't know. We'll stay away from too many spoilers. I don't know how. We're not gonna go too far into it. I'm sure lots of people have seen many things, but I don't want to spoil anything. But there are some things in the new raid that I think are like pinnacle of Destiny 2 raids, right? Both in terms of like mechanics and gameplay, but also just like some of the kind of like the location setting and all of the aesthetics that go along with it.
Oh,
Like
it
there's a
looks,
certain scale involved that we haven't seen in the same way for a while,
it,
right?
yeah. Well, we'll get on to obviously Deep Stone Crypt, but the setting from it makes it look like the original Alien 70s, how 70s would imagine space
Yeah,
and futuristic type thing, and that's what it looks like, and the
definitely.
setting's brilliant. And
That's it.
there's one bit when I was watching you all that you got when you did get there, and I'll try not to say anything because I want, in case there isn't anyone that saw it and they can experience it, but there was one really good bit and where you go like and head
Oh
up,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
there's yeah, and
yeah.
that was a wow when I was listening to people. Obviously, I had multi streams on. I heard all this screaming when people had got to that bit, just screaming with joy. They're like,
Mm,
but
that's it, man.
they're the great bits I love about Bungie and what they do with the games because they stick in your mind.
Mm, totally, man. That's one of my favorite things. Like yeah, that standout thing for me in the new raid is that like unexplored big sci-fi, right? Like it's
Yeah,
something that totally fits into Bungie's universe. It's something that they've toyed with the idea. They've had someone paint it. Someone painted these things, similar things to that, right? But like they haven't actually built anything and been like, here you go, dude.
yeah,
Go blow this up or not. Or
mm,
something on there.
yeah,
Right. So yeah, man, it's cool. It's something I feel like in a way we've been waiting for, even if we didn't know it.
yeah. So that kind of moves on to the next question of what out of D1, D2, what is your favorite raid?
Ooh, D1, man, I it's hard to like I ca Destiny 1 nostalgia just takes over, right? Like if I have to compare anything from Destiny 2 to Destiny 1, I really struggle to be objective about it. Do you know what I mean? And just be like, actually, Last Wish had all these encounters and this mystery and all these things. But yeah, like Destiny 1 anyway, when I think about Destiny 1, like Wrath of the Machine was a really fun raid. I really enjoyed the day one experience and
Yeah,
um as well like our team at the time and the agency we had over the raid and the mechanics, like just for me, made that really fun. So it stands out really well. But yeah, the D1 stuff is really hard for me to pick. Destiny 2, I enjoyed Leviathan, right? And again, I think nostalgia locks into this one because like as a Destiny 2 player at the start of Destiny 2 who really wanted to play this game, right? And everyone was going crazy because, Bungie had made everything that much more casual and there were content issues or whatever else.
yeah,
Um, yeah, man, like Leviathan, it stands out to me because it was like the one piece of pinnacle content that was like there at the time, right? And Callus and the concept behind that, I think, was really cool. For me though, like otherwise, I'd say the new raid. Like the new raid has been like a fun experience going through like early on. It stands out, right? I think
yeah,
like first impressions are big in a raid. Um so like yeah, they're really based on like for me, my favorite raids are probably the ones I had the best early experiences with all in, right?
yeah,
Like they've stuck with me the most.
yeah.
And the stuff that has the glowiest loot. And a lot of Destiny 2 raids don't have the glowiest loot, so
Chip.
you know what I mean?
Well, for me, King's Fall's my favorite. Well, yeah, it's my favorite because it was the first raid I ever completed, and it was that wow factor.
Right? That's a
Uh,
badass raid to be your first raid to complete as well.
yeah,
It's like you skipped the training protocol and just went in and kicked his
yeah.
ass. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty awesome.
Wrath of the Machine second. I loved everything about it. I loved how the community puzzle for the outbreak appeared at the end and kept everyone doing binary codes and all sorts, and the armor and how the weapons looked. Some of the weapons were great, not some of them
Mm,
were not so great, but the black and red and how they looked, I loved everything about that. But Leviathan, I love Leviathan because, for example, I know Crown is a bit smaller,
mm.
but it was sort of the same mechanic the whole way through.
Yeah,
And Scourge, it's sort of the same mechanic at the beginning and at the end.
right.
Leviathan had different types of encounters the whole way
Mm,
through. It wasn't a repeat all the way through, and I liked that. So Dogs was a different one. You have to sneak about and obviously blast the flowers. We had the
mm.
Gauntlet, which was just a running exercise, and
Yeah,
Callus. Well, apart from Prestige Callus, because that was bugged and got proper annoying after a while.
that was rough.
But it was where you were working as a team, free in another room, free in a different room, and doing that call out. And
Yeah.
that's why I love Leviathan.
Yeah, definitely, man. It even works with the concept right behind like Callus having these kind of challenges laid out for us, right? Like, why would Callus throw us that bone? Like, here's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Bit of a variation to each room, right? So yeah, man, I totally get that. It's pretty awesome.
So this could be a hard one because there's been lots of them. But what's your favourite weapon or standout weapon that you love using or did like using in D1?
Ooh, probably stuff that's somewhat predictable. I've always liked big fan of hand cannons, right? I think a lot of players ever since early D1, like hand cannons have been like always sort of the stylish weapon choice,
Yeah.
right? Even just from a pure like aesthetics and gameplay point of view. So like hand cannons are a big one, Fatebringer, and things that feel kind of like Fatebringer still, like a little bit, right?
Mm.
Even things like Ace of Spades in D2. I really like primary weapons like that. But otherwise, yeah, man, the stuff that blows things up. 1,000 voices. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Big fan of that weapon in D2. And it's just like it's so easy, right? Like that was like a properly decently overpowered feeling weapon, really, by D2 standards
Yeah.
on the most part. Um yeah, so those kind of things are fun. But the raid exotics, I think on the most part have been pretty good still, right? Like Anarchy still stands out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
1,000 voices, maybe a bit less like now in terms of like actual use in the game, I suppose. But yeah, they've all been pretty fun.
Well, I think they've just replaced it from what I've seen. Obviously, I haven't participated in the rage yet, but
Right.
is it the Eyes of Tomorrow?
Yeah.
That
It's
looks
like
mental.
it looks very good, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
it looks
That's
like
it.
Return to Galahorn, ridiculous type stuff, which is
Yeah.
great because that's what we
Yeah,
want.
totally.
We want ridiculous weapons to blow everything up into a million pieces
Mm.
and kill bosses in 2 seconds and whatever else. I do like the new
That's
sword.
it.
I do like the new sword though. The
Yeah,
lament,
that's
the
also
chainsaw sword. That
also pretty ridiculous, isn't it?
yeah, I like the way where you block and you can hear it going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
It's really
And
good.
when you like attack with it, it has this like weird like ticking
Yeah,
sound as well.
yeah,
Pretty interesting. But
yeah.
yeah, man, it's a good weapon. Cloud Strike's pretty fun as well.
Oh,
That's an exotic feeling weapon. Like I don't think it's the strongest weapon,
no.
and snipers, are kind of
I
snipers.
managed a free kill with
But
it in Crucible last night. Just the free,
right,
not like these
oh wicked,
mad videos that you've seen where they've wiped an entire team out. But
yeah.
I think
That's
it
it.
was
I haven't tried it in PvP. I imagine in PvP, it's probably a lot of fun there, right? Like,
it's it's one of them. If you hit a precision shot, it's great because you get the kill and it shoots the lightning down. But
mm,
it's really weak body shots, really weak.
right, yeah,
So it's one of them. You've got to be properly hit people, bob on.
yeah.
But no,
That's
it is a good weapon.
yeah, man. New stuff's pretty fun.
So leading into new stuff beyond light. So obviously I wrote this all out before Beyond Light
Right.
was dropped. So I've changed a few things around. So now it's your impressions of Beyond Light. Now it is out, and obviously we spoke earlier, and there'll be more and more to come. But
Mm.
well, the story. We'll start with the story. How did you like how the or where the direction the story was heading?
Yeah, pretty cool. Like obviously the overarching kind of story that they've delivered through the expansion. I'm a pretty big fan of. I think it's been done like really well overall, and it's packaged together nicely. And there's some cool sort of elements like the Clovis Bray stuff and everything
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we've been waiting to kind of maybe learn a bit about. So like that was not unexpected because we knew it was going to happen, but I guess like going back a little bit, it wasn't something we were kind of anticipating we were going to get so much of, right? So, um, yeah, I think that's been a really cool overarching kind of element. I thought the campaign was cool. Lots of kind of driving around and sort of fairly long missions, and as well with this, like early on, we felt relatively underpowered, right? Like
yeah,
versus
yeah.
how we typically do in Destiny, which kind of makes sense in a new expansion, but it's always like one variation or another of how that ends up feeling exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So yeah, it took a bit of time investment, the sort of campaign side. But again, like in terms of bleeding that into gameplay, I think kind of going into the end game and unlocking the quests and sort of sending you off into Europa, like as you kind of go out of that campaign.
Yeah,
I think the way that they did that in particular was like really neat from the gameplay side. But yeah, the Clovis Brace sort of side of things, the exploring creation and the giant exo head and the stuff to do
yeah,
with the raid. That's, to be honest, like that's, I found that more interesting and mysterious, right? It's kind of like you've got the upfront story, as it were, for this
yeah,
expansion. And then you've got kind of the, I say undertones are not really undertones, right? But the sort of the side of things that is discovered in, like, which parallels gameplay discovery, I guess, a little bit.
yeah,
They're two versions of how Destiny can do things, right? Kind of happening at the same time. So that's been pretty interesting.
yeah.
So yeah, man.
That,
Enjoyed it.
um, well, I know it is out there, but yeah, the bit obviously that got revealed at the end, and a certain person in the tower
Mm.
was like, I wasn't expecting that bit
Right.
when you did the sword quest. I wasn't expecting that at the end.
That's
I
it.
thought, wow, it's Clovis Bray. He's put himself into that as an AI. I'm like, wow, and Anna and the Exo Stranger are there, and I'm thinking, oh, this is good. We're getting to learn a
Mm.
bit about Clovis Bray because it's always been there. Clovis Bray throughout the going into 6 year of Destiny. Clovis Bray's
Yeah.
always been there, but we've never seen it in game. If you see what I mean, there's been lots of lore
Yeah.
entries, and I'm not
That's
by
it.
I'm not by I'm not going to sit there and read it for 1,000 hours.
Right.
I do
That's it.
read bits and bobs, but it was great to see it in game. I
That's
personally
it.
thought,
That's the thing, man, because like we've had all of these kind of like symptoms of, I guess, or
yeah,
like related stories like Rasputin, Siva, the stuff on Mars, and then like just the stories from the lore about like the Golden Age and the stuff that was going on then. Um, so yeah, it's cool to kind of like at least get a bit of a better look into all of that stuff as well.
yeah. So, what do you think about the content that's obviously come with? Because it was a bit similar with Shadowkeep. So Shadowkeep dropped, and there was a season that came with it,
Mm,
and there was a little bit of a, if you'd have took the season away and just had Shadowkeep there was a little bit of a
yeah,
grumbling that it'd have been light on content.
right.
What do you think about uh, Beyond Light as a content? And obviously we've got Season of the Hunt as well with it. But what are your thoughts on what we've actually got?
Think if you split them into two portions, right? Like Season of the Hunt is probably pretty similar to the season that we had alongside Shadowkeep, right?
Mm,
The key difference between the two, probably like early on looking at it, is probably what the value is like to the Destiny universe. Do you know what I mean?
mm,
Um, with the Vex invasion and stuff, it was a cool concept, and we kind of understood what was going on and how that linked to Garden of Salvation and things like that. But then, of course, they overhyped the Undying Mind thing, right? And the core gameplay of the Vex invasion was like very repetitive, and it was kind of like a slightly more boring version in a way of like stuff they'd already done seasonally, right? So the
yeah,
impact of that was like, okay, there's not an awful lot of it to do, but also it's a little bit meh, right? I
yeah,
think this time around, because the focus is less on, yo, we made this insane new activity and this big event's gonna happen, right? Like in a few weeks.
yeah,
And basically it's just a boss that's kind of like the mini boss who comes out before the actual boss in the new strike, right? Like that's what it's the equivalent of in the
yeah,
end.
yeah,
So that was probably their misstep with that. Whereas this time around, there probably isn't more content, right? There's like a similar amount of weapons in the pool that you can get from the hunts. Similar armor, it comes from the season pass, and then you can farm it. But what they've kind of done instead has been like, right, here's an opportunity to like start a story in a way, or kind of like a mini conclusion, right, with the crow,
Mm.
and Aldrin. And obviously, I would anticipate the crow is going to be relevant somehow in the future. I mean, we're not 100% sure. The character isn't being fleshed out a massive amount right now.
No.
Um,
Maybe this is his redemption story, and he does become the Hunter Vanguard.
that's it.
You just don't know, do
Yeah,
you?
it could possibly be a thing. If not, I guess it's kind of just like wrapping up a little bit of sort of some of the stuff from Forsaken.
Mm.
But there's that little bit of value there, and then otherwise, they've created hunts, right? Which realistically, if you were told these hunts are going to be like groundbreaking, and you're going to want to farm all this insane loot from them, um, you'd probably feel a bit disappointed right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
But instead, I think because they kind of the loot table's pretty minimal, right? Put some decent rolls in there, kind of let people target that stuff reasonably quickly, um, and have the hunts be somewhat unique experiences, right, from one another.
yeah,
I think the approach is a bit different, where they're kind
yeah.
of saying it's not more, but we're going to provide like a different amount of value, and you're probably going to consume it quicker,
Mm.
right, with less kind of drip feed. Um, and I think that is a better way to do it, even if you've got the same amount of content, right,
Yeah,
inherently.
yeah. And
So that's kind of my thoughts on the season part.
I suppose they're setting the season of the hunt up with its slight story is getting set up for further down the line when obviously we get
Mm,
the Witch Queen.
that's
Obviously,
it, yeah.
that's that little starter of that, and
Mm,
obviously it's part of the same story, but going to run parallel with what's going on with Beyond Light. Is the darkness and the recruiting,
yeah,
and you can see that they're trying to, instead of having different branches going off different ways, they're trying to just bring it two
funnel
different
it down,
two different
right? Like,
two different things running parallel, but they're all heading towards the same thing, and they're interlinked instead of being
yeah,
completely separate. So I enjoy that.
definitely.
There is still stuff to come, in my opinion,
Mm.
because there's stuff in the trailers that I don't think we've seen yet. I think
I
there was,
think there are a few bits and bobs there, yeah.
yeah, I think there was a bit where there was like, oh, what they're called? It's like the little glowing square that you have the tether.
Right.
In one of the
Yeah.
trailers, there was one of them. It was like an orangey coloured one. Nobody's seen that yet,
Yeah.
so it's looking like they may bring some out a little bit further down the line. But
Mm,
that's good because I've
totally.
there's plenty to go. I'm still grinding away to try and maybe compete in some
That's
of
it.
these things. But I'm
Yeah, man,
enjoying it.
totally. There's a lot to catch up on as well, like for a lot of people. Um, and then I think even for the relatively hardcore players, I think for the next, few weeks in particular, there'll still be stuff to kind of pick up and fine tune and all of those kinds of things. But
Yeah.
I think the content delivery on the most part has been pretty good, right? Like it's
Mm.
felt like an immersive, kind of fast-paced expansion, right? For
Yeah.
that couple of initial weeks where things are just kind of popping off and bouncing off of each other. So there's a lot of energy there, which I think is part of launching a good expansion, right? Like you need to
Yeah.
feel like the content is actually there to play and discover, right? Instead of
Mm.
constantly hitting this cap where it's like, oh, wait till next Tuesday. And
Mm.
of course, we've had a
Yeah.
little bit of that. The raid had its own timeline.
Yeah.
They gave us like an initial like bundle of stuff for week one, right? And then it was kind of like you don't have to wait just a few days. But then once the raid happened, it all just yeah, it kind of cascaded out. But yeah, man, I'm interested to see like what the rest of the season holds and Hawk Moon, things like that coming up
Hawkman,
as well.
can't wait. Can't wait. I used to love that in
It's
Crucible.
really fun weapon, right?
But what one little change I like that they've done there. Some people, obviously, we've got the exotic quests. We've had the exotic quests come out for Lament. Uh,
Mm.
we had to finish the campaign to get the and the name's gone
Was
right
it
out.
the Salvation
No,
strip?
well, there was that quest as well. Stranger's Rifle, not Stranger's Rifle.
Oh, No Time to Explain.
No Time to Explain.
I
Why
always call
couldn't
it
I remember
Stranger's
that?
Rifle
Uh,
as well.
so all them is we've worked towards something and got it
Mm,
right at the end. What I did like was for the hunts, the Empire hunts, and for the Cloud Strike, and it was there as a rare drop. So
yeah.
RNG was involved. Like I know some people, I
Mm,
know a governor who's in here now. He ran it 35 times before he got it. I did 16 attempts yesterday. Some people got it
right.
first time. I like that little bit leaning back towards D1 where it was, oh, it's up on the screen, jump for joy type thing. Instead of
Yeah.
we're guaranteed it at the end of something. If you see what I mean, I like that little bit of
That's
RNG they've
it.
just put back into it for exotics anyway.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of mixing up those sources, right? And
Mm,
the kind of gameplay investments that go into them. Uh, yeah, man. I'd prefer them to do it like that. A good mix of activity drops, farmable stuff,
yeah,
quest, random drops, and like, or even like puzzles and pursuits, right? Like, even if you look at some of the raid things, some of the little, like the cosmetics, like the exotic ghost, you've got to collect fragments in the raid, like a
yeah,
few
yeah. I've
fragments
seen, yeah,
first, and little bits like that, man. Like, just changing up how you find things gives you that sense of kind of sporadicness, right? Like you might find something that works a little bit differently to how it normally does,
yeah,
right? When things
yeah,
get predictable, that's one of Bungie's enemies right there
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Definitely, definitely. So, last question for this uh, category. So, if you could change, add, or remove something from the game, what would it be?
Ooh, difficult. Okay, maybe not that difficult. I would love Twilight Garrison for Titans.
Yes.
That would be awesome. That would be great, especially with all this stasis stuff now. Like you can skate around like a bit of a maniac at the moment
Crucible's a
as
nightmare.
Titan. The Crucible is pretty bad.
It's
I've
basically
mostly
who can,
avoided it.
yes, who can freeze who quickest. That's basically Crucible at the minute.
That's it. Someone in your chat said a little bit ago. I can't see it now. So I'm not sure who said it. Sorry. But yeah, I wonder what Trials is going to be like with Stasis.
Oh, it's back tomorrow,
And
isn't it? No, not tomorrow, Friday.
Friday, yeah. Um,
And all the
which is a very I hadn't really thought all that much about that. Like, yeah, that's going to be an interesting one.
well, it will be because for me, Trials is about
Oh, this kit. There you go.
it's aha. Uh, Trials is it's the top end PvP. I love it. I'm not great at it. I've been to Lighthouse once in
Right.
D2,
Yeah.
but I enjoy playing it, and it's sometimes it can be a bit campy, sweaty, depending what map it
Mm,
is. But I like some of I think they're in chat now who I've played with. They've done a clutch moment 1v3 and they've won.
right.
You won't be able to do a 1v3 because the three people will have a freezing grenade or a warlock melee from close range and freeze. It, that's sort of
It's going to be
gone.
very
It's
interesting.
sort of
Yeah.
gone. So if there's anyone who likes Trials in chat, I wish you good luck for the weekend.
It could be a salt fest, couldn't it,
It could. It could.
this week? We'll
So
see.
I will just thank Skull Rider and Miss Kit for the hosts. Thank you very much. It's very appreciated. And now we get to the quick fire round. So it's an either or. So it's whichever one, obviously, whichever one you pick out of them. So start off grenade launchers or rocket launchers
Grenade launchers, generally, at the moment.
at the moment. Hopefully the rocket launchers
That's
will
really
get a bit
hard
of
to
love.
give you the actual yes or no answer, right? Because generally grenade launchers are like they're kind of been the go-to for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you've got the raid launcher now, which we were just discussing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, actually, yeah, maybe not overall. We'll see. Grenade launchers.
Right.
You can get one that blows more stuff up. I know this is not very quick fire.
No,
What's it got?
it's
Chain
fine.
reaction is a perk. It's like, I think that's what it's called. It's
Oh,
almost like Firefly. Like you
is that on
kill one
the new
target and
Europa one?
yeah,
Yeah,
you
I've
can get
been
it on nade launchers and the rocket launcher, I think. It's that's pretty badass.
right. Postmaster or gunsmith,
In what respect? Just to clarify.
whichever one you like best.
Oh, okay. Gunsmith. I always run out of space in the postmaster. They should upgrade that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Gaul or Zol.
Zol.
Mm. Right, there's three to pick from here. Oh, one of three. Pit of Heresy, Shattered Throne, or Prophecy Dungeon.
Prophecy.
Prophecy. I do like that. It looks proper trippy when all the bright colours are coming towards you. I love that.
Yeah.
It's
The
really good.
the little ribbon racetrack thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wins. That wins it.
Yeah. The Darkness or the Traveller.
The darkness. Because the darkness has been making things interesting. The Traveler's
Yeah.
it's just a ball.
It's just sat there.
They
For,
say it's
yeah.
important, but it's just a ball.
Well, I think you'll have answered this one earlier. Pizza or burger and chips?
Pizza.
Yeah. Oh, and this one as well. You see, I wrote all this out weeks ago. Action films or horror films?
Horror.
Yeah.
If you can safely combine the two, then could be fun.
So, one of three again. PS5, Xbox Series X, or PC?
PC.
Yeah.
It keeps my life nice and quick generally. Yeah. Although I do like all platforms, to be fair.
And just for a comedy factor, M-Tashed or Rick Kakis?
Well, M-Tashed is genuinely more cute than Rick Kakis.
What, so, even though he's more buffer?
Yeah.
He's been properly working out his Rick.
You can be buff and cute, can't you? Mr. Tash.
I had to throw that one in there. That if you're watching, and you're probably not.
M-Tash did actually say once he put me at more or less at the bottom of a list of YouTubers that flirt with him.
Ah.
An actual YouTube video about YouTubers that flirt with him, and I was like in the bottom 3. It was pretty poor. So hopefully the cute comment it might help.
It might get back to him.
Yeah, man. That's it.
So moving on to the final category, which is content creating. This is your bread and butter. This is what you do for a living. So how did you get started on YouTube?
Just messing around, to be honest. It was kind of like the Houndish name thing. Pardon me. But yeah, the first thing that really I was still at university at the time, or working on doing something that kept my life very busy. I was playing quite a lot of games, and it was I bought, or I think my girlfriend may have bought it for me at the time, the first one. It was like a capture card that was literally like the 3 auxiliary type like video cables.
Yeah.
That somehow broke out into a USB dongle.
Really?
That you could plug in to a laptop, and it actually did a thing. I think it recorded at like 240p or something like that. It looked like it had been recorded on a tape.
Yeah.
Um, but it recorded stuff. So like I just started messing around, like recording I think it was like Max Payne 3 or Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto stuff, and making like montages
Mm.
with that. And I was kind of interested in the video side of things, like editing and production. Um Coming off the back of like what I did before, because I studied music production as well. So like that side of media was kind of interesting. So it was just one of them where I wanted to see it on the screen and play around with it. And
Yeah.
I just kept doing that for a while until I eventually sort of started trying to do commentary for videos. I say trying because it was probably terrible, but it was terrible. Um, yeah, man. And it just turned into a thing,
Yeah.
a thing.
A thing. Uh,
Yeah.
Quite a successful thing. Uh, so, which leads on to this. So, what's the journey been like from when you started getting your first subscriber to now with, I'm going to say this right, 536,000 subscribers
Wow.
as of today?
Really? Wow. That's a
Sorry.
little update for me. Appreciate that. I'm gonna double check that now. No, it's all good. But yeah, man. It's been awesome. Like it's been fun. Like I think the journey is the fun part, right? Um, you can always look ahead at something and say, I really want to get to X, Y, and Z, you know?
Yeah.
Um, this is where I want to be. And sometimes you can focus too hard on that. And I've definitely done that, like in the past. Um, but yeah, like looking back at it, it's the it's just a process, right? Just like when the way we remember all Destiny expansions as players, right? We
Yeah.
have like fond memories about them. It's exactly the same for me. Kind of like historically, I remember what I was playing at the time, or in the case of Destiny, like specifically what was going on with Destiny. Um, what my kind of content focus was, where I was at with the channel, whether it was like really early on in Destiny 1 kind of
Yeah.
era, where it was super super fun and relaxed and just make content that seems like something I can make right now, right?
Yeah.
Which was pretty much like something I enjoy doing, right? Which should always be the first thing I think like any content creator should be doing, right? Is probably just making content that they want to make because they want to make it. That's like
Yeah.
always the best advice I could give to someone. Someone's like, "What should I do? I want to make content." I'm like, "That's a really tough question, right?
Yeah.
Because if you kind of need to start by just being you." Um, yeah, man, I'm going off on a tangent here,
No, no, no.
but
That's
yeah,
fine.
like these are they're the things that stand out to me really. It's the journey getting here, man, has been fun. And over time, I've probably become less focused on kind of numbers and progress to an extent, right? Like on any given day, if I'm not going downhill rapidly, uh, and things are still creeping upwards, and I can
Yeah.
do this like to earn a living from this as well, right? Like that side of it also is a consideration. But if those things are happening, man, I try at this point just to enjoy what I can and yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just I'm more chill probably than ever on the most part. That's probably the worst time for me to say this because I've been sweating like a maniac for the past 2 weeks banging out content.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like yeah, I've slowly been coming to terms with being a content creator. You just keep adjusting to it really.
Well, I do apologise for mentioning what you're on now.
No, it's good, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, surprising, crazy, right? Like they're just numbers you don't ever anticipate being a thing. They're not they're never numbers that I looked to have. Like it was yeah, I wasn't sitting there like 6 years ago, like one day I want to have 1 million subscribers on YouTube or
And
500,000
your
subscribers,
your
which is where I'm actually at.
was
But
it your metal YouTube logo plaque or whatever it is they
yes,
send you?
that's cool as well. That was pretty awesome to get.
So,
It's
so when do they send them out to you? Is it as you hit certain, like a congratulations, you've hit
Yeah, I think 100,000 is the first one. Um, which I've got the OG version of because there's two versions of it. Like they
Ah,
updated it. Like it's like the play button, and then they did like a plaque, which is like a stainless brushed plaque thing,
yeah.
um, which is kind of how they do them now. But you get like a silver one for 100,000. Um, gold. Is it gold? Yes, gold. Is it gold?
Oh,
Yes, it's gold. Gold for a
yeah.
million. And I think if you get 10 million, you get like a platinum one. And they just,
Ooh.
I think if you've hit like the subscriber count, you basically, there's a little thing you go on YouTube and you're like, yo, give me a thing for doing this. And then they verify it and everything. And they send you a nice letter and it's signed by someone at YouTube you never heard of. Uh,
It's you mean it's printed?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, printed. But it's cool, man.
No,
Yeah,
it is.
it's
Yeah.
neat.
Well,
It's another one of those things. It's like when it happens, you're like, oh man, I'm getting one of those things. Like I've seen lots of people make videos about getting or
yeah,
whatever. Right? It's like apparently this exclusive club, and now I'm apparently part of it because it's one of those because it's not an exclusive club where you go downtown and park your car somewhere and go through the doors. Right?
yeah,
Like it's you're on this journey and things just kind of happen, right? Like you hit these milestones. But yeah, there's like I've always had I've never been someone that's like highly enfranchised, right? Uh, in feeling like I'm part of something. So when those things happen, but you're actually on your own journey, and that's kind of like, hey, we think that's a cool thing.
yeah,
Yeah, man, that's like a big trip in life
yeah.
to do something like that. So
So,
it's cool.
when you're making, editing videos, is there a process that you follow each time for each video? So, like a guideline of
Hmm.
where you how you produce stuff.
Yeah, there are like a couple of different guidelines, and it depends what it is, right? Like some things, especially when you get to a time like this, like where the game's really busy and there's a lot to post, you kind of have these periods of time where you're just trying to prepare, right?
Yeah,
Best you can for what you can know is coming, right? So it's like you kind of find yourself doing that and getting as much prep as you can. So over time, that's something I've been trying to like what's the format of a video when I make it? Like,
yeah,
what can I get ready for and what can I not get ready for? And how much of that stuff can I sort of prep up to mobilize? Because that's always been a big thing for me, right? Like, early on for my channel, it was like, if I want to get anyone to watch this stuff, I'm going to have to try and do something special. I'm
yeah,
not the best player in the world. I'm probably not going to be the best news presenter for Destiny videos or X, Y, and Z, right? So it's like, what can I do? And the answer was to try and be fast. So like, um, yeah, that was a big thing when it comes to like reset videos, Zer videos,
yeah,
like TWAB news updates. I was kind of obsessed with figuring out how can we like consistently make this piece of content. Um, so with things like that, I'll have basically a big list of say like a weekly reset. And it's like here's all the things that always happen in a weekly reset.
yeah,
Here are the things that, and I'll color code stuff in like a list, right? So it'll literally
yeah,
be like, I can pre-record an intro for most resets that happen on most weeks, right? Like if we know enough things that are going to happen that are like key moments for that week, um,
yeah,
I can kind of like pre-record like chunks of that video and maybe look at certain things that are coming up, and then you prepare for the sections of a video that like that like that reset type thing you just have to do live. Like you get that information when it happens. Um, that's like one example of a
yeah,
type of video I might be making. Otherwise, the format's kind of yeah, it's pretty simple, man. I kind of jot down notes. Some things I script. Like if I'm being more critical about something, I'll maybe like write more of a script and like
yeah,
analyze that, I guess. And otherwise, I just kind of throw things in a document initially. It's like, I think this is news. I think this is all the new stuff that's interesting. Kind of get a potentially useful order for it. And then my process, because like that process is happening every day, kind of messy. So I'll like sit there for a few hours and write something up, or just get the bullet points and all of the kind of assets and bits of core info I need for it saved up.
Yeah.
Then I'll just kind of wing it with commentary, with like just a list of bullet points, the main things we need to like go through, and all the info, right? If the
Yeah.
info's there, like I'm mostly comfortable sort of talking about it. And then I just save that commentary down, go through it, cut out all of the nonsense that I was figuring out on the fly. Like I'll end up with like 30-minute commentaries for like a 15-minute video. Because I'm just like, I'm gonna rephrase that. I'm gonna do it a different way. I don't chop and change it. I'll just record it for 30 minutes and then like
Yeah.
sit and hack through it for ages afterwards. So it's I don't know, man, like if there's a smarter way to do some of those things. But yeah, I just kind of get messy and
So,
go at it.
so
If
with
that's the way to say it.
well, yeah. So with your videos, the more info based videos, where some Destiny content creators uh, walkthroughs, or like your Rick Kaki's Raid Guide for Dummies, which is 45 minutes long. How did you
Mm.
find or think that where you are now was the best, where you sit, like, I'd like to say, in the where the community is with different types of content creator, because you're all
Mm.
YouTubers, but different types for the same game, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I think for me it was like learnings from probably from Destiny, the Destiny 1 era, that kind of like started to change the direction of like some of my content for Destiny 2.
Yeah,
Um, so like in D1, towards the end of D1, when I was focusing harder on actually like making consistent content, I was focusing a lot on like trials. So it'd post like full trials runs, or let's say montages. They were really like gameplay, like, you know, highlights from trials, or do fun things with them, you know, like
yeah,
run a certain set of weapons. Like we had a weekend with just, let's all run 77 Wizard and just try and snipe everyone with that, and then post a video with Harry Potter in the thumbnail holding a
yeah,
77 Wizard and call it the Wizard Trials. Um, it was, you know, kind of like messing around with that kind of content in a fun way, but then that funneled down into more of, let's actually try and make some content that competes with other people, right? In terms
yeah,
of like, guys, like we can play this game. So like at the end of D1, when they were releasing raid challenges, that was like a big thing our clan at the time were just kind of like trying to absolutely nail.
yeah,
We did a lot of practice for when that stuff was reprised. So when it did drop, we were really proficient with it. And those are the things that really popped off for me early on. It was like, hey, here's us killing Atheon hard mode with the challenge, the year 3 version, and
yeah,
how to do this, right? Like, and posting that quick. So that was like, okay, this is actually what's like starting to propel my channel into an interesting place views wise.
yeah,
Destiny 2 comes along, and there was a lot of news about Destiny 2 that was coming out throughout the summer,
yeah. Before release,
before the
yeah,
game. Yeah, man. And the one thing that I sort of that struck me, it was like, I feel like people aren't really covering this all that much. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, sure, there are news guys, but they maybe pop up like once a week or once every couple of weeks on the most part, right? There are other more consistent bits of news, like this week at Bungie, that people like will hit really quick and really regularly. Um, but there was an opening for it, frankly,
yeah,
at the time. So I was just like, okay, I'm not really a newsy guy, but let's take that stuff when I do the twab and the patch notes, and let's take that script reading-y type of thing and try and like funnel it over into, hey, we're just talking about Destiny and these guys have new info about the game. So
yeah,
it's like, actually, I just needed to learn to just have a conversation about Destiny. Um, in reality. So yeah, man, I started doing that and focusing a lot on news stuff. And I think some of the other things that had been really big for me in Destiny 1 were like loot table videos for raids, things that were found via databases.
yeah,
A lot of people weren't very proficient at kind of um, using databases and then making content about that stuff in Destiny 1. So at the tail end of D1, that was something I'd also had some success with, and ended up with like videos that got like 200,000 views when my channel maybe only had like 20,000 subscribers or so, something like that. So it was like, these things are happening, and they just seem like opportunities. So I just doubled down on all of that going into Destiny 2. And because there was a market of people who wanted to know what was coming in Destiny 2, right? I just kept posting videos with I was just getting information from everywhere. Try and post something every day at like midday in the UK, which is a decent time for people in the UK to then have time to see it throughout the day, or folks in the US, right?
Yeah.
Would start to see that stuff, and it just things just accelerated, man. Like week over week, I could see the channel just like building rapidly as more conversation about Destiny 2 happened. So that was like, yeah, that was really the momentum point for things, I suppose,
Yeah.
for Destiny 2. And that things changed then, like more significantly. I probably earned maybe like 100,000 subscribers, you know, in the 6 months before D2 launched and after it, right? Like maybe earn that many subs, and it was just, yeah, it was a big change. It was at that point, it's like something's happening that you can't really entirely control, right? Whether something like this starts happening, you just have to do what you're supposed to do, and hopefully it works, right? So it was,
and it has.
that's it, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's been. I feel really lucky, like very fortunate. I feel like there's a lot of good timing involved as well. On when I started making the content that I did, yeah,
Yeah.
it was lucky. It was a perfect storm, I suppose you could call it.
Yeah. So, last question for this podcast. Now, I asked Jav when he was on with me a few weeks ago.
Right.
So, is it like an unwritten rule or law that all YouTubers have to have a catchphrase for the end of the videos?
I suppose it kind of is. Yeah. Everyone does it, don't they? I don't know who writes these unwritten laws. I suppose nobody, but yeah, man, I'm not really sure. I suppose it's just a culture that like kind of grew itself, right? Like YouTube content on the whole just had to find some amount of normality, right? It's like when you watch the news, they always sign in and sign off in more or less the same way, right? Same with anything. I guess YouTube is just finding its version of that, which seems to be slightly irritating YouTubers.
I won't say irritating.
Yeah, man, that's it. But it just, it sticks. I think having some that familiarity, becomes a bit kind of important. It feels like a bit of comfort.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But
hello.
all the cheesy bits.
I do apologise. This is my 18-year-old cat. He's trying to
Hello, kitten.
Yeah, hello.
You got a vocal cat.
Oh, because he wants some treats. That's what he's after.
Yeah.
But down you go. Good lad.
That's it, man.
Do apologise about
that. Our cat does the same. Apart from she doesn't want to know me most of the time, but once it's time for treats, it's like, yo, I'm up on the desk.
Yeah.
I love you so much.
Yeah.
Maybe your cat may be more loyal than to only do it for treats.
Yeah, he's mental. He's just jumped back up. Anyway, but just going back, because obviously I say it's a catchphrase, but obviously me saying it doesn't sound right. But have a lovely day, and you've actually have it on some of your merch, so it's like gone out onto t-shirt. Yeah, so
man,
it's sort of evolved.
The awesome day shirt thing. Yeah, it just stuck. Right, like I don't know why I chose to say that. They're also the things that feel, like I said before, they feel like super cheesy. People will be like, "Hey man, do the Houndish intro," and when I do it as part of a video, it's just how
do the
Houndish starts, right? I mean, it's literally as a particular person, I guess. That's the interesting thing about it, right? Like
Yeah,
It's one person's voice
yeah,
saying their name, and they are here today.
exactly.
It's remarkable, but that's how these things work, isn't it? That's
And
it's
and people remember what they hear to the person. They're like, oh yeah,
that's it.
that's Houndish. Da-da-da.
I genuinely feel guilty now sometimes when I mix it up because people are like, that intro was wrong. Like, what you doing?
Really?
Yeah, they're just like,
Please,
where
pl-
is the thing?
please,
Like, I
please
feel
tell me
completely
people don't
dislodged
put
from
comments.
reality.
They don't
Oh
put
yeah, some
comments.
people will
Oh
be like,
wow.
where was the what's up guys? Now there's no way I'm gonna have a good day or whatever.
Oh no.
Of course, I'm sure they're only joking, but I read it into things a lot, and I'm like, okay, so I won't just start with, "There's new weapons in this place," you know.
Yeah.
We'll do the thing.
Well,
Yeah, man.
it's been successful, as is your channel. Uh, you put out
Can't
great
complain,
you
mate.
put out great content. I love watching it. I know those that are here watching all of your content. I've been getting messages as soon as people found out you're coming on, just to pass messages on to you. Not bothered about me.
Really,
Oh, can you tell him we love his
that's
content? So I'm passing them messages on. Well,
that's very kind of you, man.
thank
Appreciate it.
thank
It's been awesome chilling and stuff as well, dude. Like, thanks a lot for reaching out and
well, like
having me again.
like I was saying to you,
That's awesome.
this is a chilled. It's not Piers Morgan. I'm not going to grill you and
Yeah, man.
make it turn you into a blubbery mess of tears. And this is just chill. I've been drinking beer.
That's it, man.
It's that kind of podcast that we have. But
All
thank
about the
you
chill.
very much for obviously sparing the time to come and speak to
Yeah,
me.
man. Absolutely,
Obviously,
dude.
especially now it's incredibly busy for yourself at the moment. So, and I know you want to spend time with your, in case she's watching, better half.
Yeah, man. That's it. Just trying to grab like, the
Yeah.
hours, many hours as you can, kind of
So
thing.
honestly, I appreciate that.
No, man. It's my pleasure, dude.
So as we always do at the end, uh, just a quick thank you. I'll say this right, Bobby Wingnut, for the follow and the bits that you did. Thank you very much for that. Go on then. We'll leave with one last question because I've just seen it pop
All
up.
right.
Who's your favourite Twitcher?
Oh, oh dear, you put me on the spot now. Who's asked you that? Oh, it's that guy. It's that guy. I mean, as they go, I do quite like Grandad Gaming. I've got to say. I think he's a reasonable gentleman.
It was very good at patrols.
He is. He is. He does a good patrol carry, I've heard.
Yes,
He's
yes.
I've pulled a few decent blue drops thanks to Grandad Hewlin.
He
But yeah,
did.
man. Genuinely though, like I'm not like a massive Twitch viewer, but really like when I do watch Destiny stuff, I've always had a habit of just kind of browsing the directory and seeing what's going on. I
Yeah,
remember doing that like right from the beginning, even with when Destiny was kind of in those quiet times after launch, when people were a bit bummed out about X, Y, and Z and the directory was quiet. That was a time I paid a lot of kind of attention to who was doing stuff, and it's interesting to see like some of the folks who were just going at it really hard then, despite what people were saying about the game,
yeah,
and how they've just gone boom over the past couple of years, and some of the top, you know,
yeah.
the top peeps, as it were. But yeah, man, the Destiny community is awesome. So many awesome streamers and peeps. So it's been cool to hang out with you as well,
No,
Gate
thank
Crusher,
you.
my dude.
No,
Thank you for having me,
I've
mate.
really
And
enjoyed it. Again, all I can say is thank you for joining me. It's been a privilege.
yeah, mate, absolutely. And cheers for inviting me to meet your community a bit as well. Pleasure, my dude. Thank you.
So, as I was saying, what we usually do is we usually go out and raid someone, and I don't know where to go because there's so many good content streamers, content creators, and I always find it hard where to go. So I think I will go to. I'm going to go to Amaze, quality streamer. He's the most positive. He's been on my podcast before. He's the most positive man you will ever meet.
Awesome.
A big Black Lives Matter campaigner, and honestly, I love him. He's so good.
Awesome, man.
So if one of my mods can put in the command, let's have a look. So people in chat, thank you very much for joining the pair of us today. Hope you've all found out a lot more about this this brilliant content creator for the game that we all love, which is Destiny. There is a command that's just gone in. What we always do is we copy the message, and then when we raid a channel, we smash their chat with this command. So again, thank you everyone for the raids, the follows, the subs, the bits. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And again, thank you Houndish for joining. So
Thanks, man.
let's press that, and we're going to go across and see Amaze. Remember, chat, copy and paste that. Let's crash the party. Hammer his chat with it. I will return for tomorrow for PvP. Try and grind out some stuff in the Ice Age.
Lit. Sounds fun, man.
Right. Good night, everyone. Everyone take care, and I will catch you later on.
Bizzle.